Good morning out of Europe, out of Switzerland. Bonjour, guten tag, buongiorno, buenos dias, calimera. And Richard, welcome. You have to say good morning in Chinese out of Shanghai.
Well, I'll say good afternoon. I'll say hello to everybody. 大家好，欢迎光临.
Tajahao, I repeat, we are extremely
Hello to everybody.
excited. I must confess that Richard Turrin, who I've never met in person, feels so close, and he has managed to convey his passion and his energy on innovation, on digitalization, on TechFin, and all this evolution that's been happening in China. I've been thinking this morning that China is like really an innovation lab, referring to your first book, Richard, an innovation lab with some failures and some major breakthrough successes. We are here to celebrate last minute scheduled, because we didn't know the exact day of the launch of the physical book. Richard, tell us about the thematic of the book, Cashless, as we all know. What is it about, and how do you feel this morning?
Well, look, first of all, thank you to everyone for being here. I'm delighted to have you all. And I feel a tremendous sense of relief. Okay, just imagine it's a little more than a year ago and you're trying to write a new book. COVID hits, lockdowns hit, tremendous changes in the financial system in China hit. So I had to tear up and throw out entire chapters and rewrite them. So I feel a tremendous sense of relief to be here. And I want to tell everybody that I'm grateful to all of you, because the book really came out of all of the discussions that I've had with all of you on LinkedIn. And I'm grateful for that. So I feel a sense of relief. What's the book about? How is it formatted? So you just can't write a book about central bank digital currency as standalone in China, because there's a history of what came first. So the book is divided into three distinctive sections. The first section is all about digital payment in China, what I call version 1.0, which is Alipay and WeChat Pay. They command 94% of the market, and they disrupted banking, disrupted the entire payment, banking, financial system here. Second section goes on to what is a CBDC, or a central bank digital currency? How do they work? What are the overall design decisions? And then how did China, what decisions did it make in its? Then we'll go on to internationalization and what's the likely usage of this, and that's hotly contested, and I understand people will dispute my findings. And then the third final section of the book is about, well, how did banking change? How did open banking change? What were the changes to society that were brought about by the digital payment platforms, Alipay and WeChat Pay? And what more can we expect with what I call version 2.0 payment? We're now a generation, or on the second generation of payment. And if we saw this much movement with the first generation, how much more? Where are we going with this second generation? And the whole goal is to compare it and contrast it with what happens in the West. So in a lot of places I say, look, I understand that there are parts of digitization in China that you don't want. I get that. But there are parts of digitization that you do want, and you do want these things to happen in your local marketplace, and that's a good thing. So it's this constant balancing between what happens in China, what did we already see, and how what we see in China presages what's going to happen in the West. And those are the three essential parts to the book, because you can't just talk about central bank digital currency without recognizing all the other things that are happening in China or happened in China.
So many thoughts come to mind, Richard, as I listen to you. Tell us briefly, who is your audience? Because, what angle are you taking in the book? Is it more technical? Is it more market oriented? What level of knowledge or understanding is presumed? Who is your audience for this book?
It's written for an international business person who is curious and wants to learn what's going on. Look, there's already tons of articles in the newspaper about digital currency. It's a hot subject right now. So it's not written for, say, only the fintech audience. My goal is to be able to educate a business leader who does international business, who may have RMB transfers ongoing, to help them understand both what happened in China and where it's going to take them, and why they may, in some future, want to use digital RMB for some of their import-export business coming in and out of China. So it's written for a general audience so that they will understand how these changes develop, because it is developing. There's tremendous risk. I'm writing a book about technology that is not fully launched yet, right? So I take big picture items. I do talk very specifically about everything we know about China's technology to date. But we're going to have to wait and see how it all develops. But after you read this, you should have a better understanding of how it works, how it will impact you, your company, and what you'll want to do with it when it comes. Now, there's another caveat to this. A local business person who has never seen a central bank digital currency or never seen WeChat or never seen Alipay before has to have a crystal ball to look to see what their local domestic future is going to look like. And I say that the digital currency future that we are living in China today is where you will be in 5 or 10 years in the West. So if you're aware of those changes, it will help you, even as a domestic business person who maybe never sees or never hopes to see a Chinese digital currency. So it's future looking to help people understand what I call our shared digital currency future is going to look like, because it will be shared. The names will be different. You're not going to have WeChat and Alipay. You may not have the Chinese digital currency, but you may have what's the new term? You may now have Britcoin, the English version of a digital currency. And many of the changes that will bring will look like what China has.
Okay, but for me, Richard, you are really courageous. You're putting yourself out there, telling this very important story. As you said, it's just so tender, in pilot stage in China, and there's so many controversial ideas out there. It reminds me of all the controversial ideas around nuclear energy. And the debates over time, and here we are today. I was watching the other day a video about how green nuclear energy is. So it's fantastic that you have the audacity, if you want, to put this out and help us think. I also want to recognize that China rolled out this electronic currency, and we all understand that this project has been going on for years. But the pandemic seems it didn't really hinder this rollout. How do you see that, and how long have you been in China that gives you these perspectives?
Okay, so there's sort of two interesting questions here. One is how China managed COVID And I understand that this is controversial, not new. You said audacity. Well, if you're going to talk about China, you have to have a certain amount of audacity and thick skin, because China is always controversial, no matter what it does. Okay, COVID. First of all, you have to understand that the central bank digital currency project started in 2014, before WeChat and Alipay were great successes. So it's been an ongoing project by the People's Bank of China for a very long time. So that's number one.
2014, that's the year that Ethereum was founded. This is
yes.
It's just amazing that you say that. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, many people aren't. So, and this is another really key point. Many people feel, well, central bank digital currency is being brought forward as a means of disrupting Alipay and WeChat Pay, to which my answer is no. The central bank digital currency was started, the project, even before WeChat and Alipay were at all successful. So it really was, to the PBOC, a natural evolution of cash. And they were already working in the Bitcoin space, no question about it. It was disruptive to China. So they saw this as a strategic project long before any other central bank did. If you went back to 2014 and talked to any other central banker about central bank digital currency, you wouldn't really get much. You'd be like, that's nice. That's a nice concept, but nothing there. Why did COVID not impact the rollout and the testing? So number one, it was a project that was well underway long before COVID. And the other one that's hard for people to understand, and I talk about this all the time, is that since April of last year, I've been going to yoga studios and restaurants. We avoided in most cities, not all, in China, we avoided the lockdowns that the West had. So we've had a very normal life. So when you read about high GDP figures coming out of China this year, it's in comparison to the West, it's because China was, for the most part, open for business for the better part of 2020 and, of course, 2021. So it's just how China dealt with COVID.
Richard, let's go back to this idea that China is an innovation lab, and using many of the so-called future technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, blockchain, AI, Internet of Things, and so on. What are the failures that you can identify? Because here we're talking about a major sort of breakthrough in the making, but surely there have been failures. I'm only aware of the peer-to-peer loan situation, but maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this.
Sure. Failures. Look, the peer-to-peer loan failure, and I'm going to switch to a different set of earphones because Bluetooth doesn't always work as advertised. But look, the best and biggest failure you need is the peer-to-peer loan failure here in China. So really, if you think about innovation, we're always saying you need to fail, and you need to hopefully fail fast. And so what we did with, or what the People's Bank of China did, was to allow peer-to-peer to flourish. They thought peer-to-peer loans were going to be a successful means of providing credit to a population that generally did not have ample amounts of credit. They were launched, and the rest is history. Most of us know the story, and it's actually a story that I detail in 2 chapters in the book because it's a very important story. Basically, it failed, and out of those ashes came the big data credit systems that we know from both Alipay and WeChat Pay. But when we look at how regulators react to credit today and the potential for credit bubble, they're very much influenced by their failure with P2P. So when you look at essentially, and I cover this in a couple of chapters, if you look at the Alipay aborted IPO, there's a lot of different stories in there. But the one not to forget is that you're looking at regulators who were really scared. They already had, they admit to $120 billion in losses. There were suicides. It was a real disastrous period. And the people who got the blame for that were the regulators. So these same guys, and we're not looking at 20 years ago, we're only looking at 2016 and 17. So 4 years later, we've got another potential credit bubble forming with Ant, and the regulators were proactive in canceling the IPO. And yes, there were other reasons, but this is the reason that is very rarely discussed among many of the pundits, the credit bubble, and the way regulators who were beaten. I mean, the regulators, you got to imagine a massive failure along the lines of our mortgage-backed security failure in the West. If you look at a failure of that size for regulators, they don't forget it easily. And it was only 4 years ago for them. So they're very, very much afraid of that. And that was a major issue for them.
Great. Richard, have you had an airdrop of the digital currency yet? Personally, have you experienced that?
There's 2 issues. Okay, so here's what I'm waiting for. Number 1, it hasn't gone to trial in Shanghai yet. And then even when it comes to Shanghai and trial, I will not be able to use it because I do not have a China residency, not resident, but I don't have a native China card. However, my Mandarin teacher, her mother, her father, her husband, and various family members are all on note that when the trial comes, they're all to apply. Somebody in my network who has an ID card is going to get it, and they know that we're going to take videos and we're going to run around and buy stuff with digital currency. But it's not here yet. I haven't seen it, but there is one caveat. I've been taking pictures of the vending machines in the subway station by my house, which now have the logo for digital currency. So the logos are starting to show up, and whenever they show up, I quickly take a picture.
Excellent, excellent. And tell us, I'm very curious, when did the seed get planted in your head to write this book? I mean, you published your first book,
Sure.
Innovation Lab Excellence, in 2019. When did you get infected and committed to this work?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I've been in China for 11 years. To be precise, there were 2 years where I was actually in Singapore. I left for Singapore the years are a little fuzzy, in around 2015 or 16. I have to look at my own LinkedIn profile to tell you the exact year. But the point is, I was using early versions of Alipay and early versions of WeChat Pay, and they were non-inspirational. It didn't take off yet. It had just started. And I'm like, this is nice. And I used Alipay to buy stuff. It was okay. I went away for 2 years. And when I came back, it was this, like, my house was the same. Everything was the same, but everywhere had plastered QR codes. Every square inch And within, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that a city of 20 some odd million, 23 million, 22 million people went cashless in 2 years. So when I left, we were just starting to use these systems. And in 2 years, the entire city had switched over to digital payment. It was shocking. Look, I work in fintech. I said, okay, this will be nice. It'll take some years. It'll catch on. It was so fast and so immediate. And when I saw how the technology had advanced in 2 years, I said, oh, this is disruptive and this is our pattern. So that's what kicked off the book and the digital currency project, which is the next generation. I like to call, again, WeChat and Alipay are only version 1.0. Think about it in software terms. I know I got Paolo Cerrone there, my dear friend and ex-IBM colleague who works in software, right? 1.0 software, digital currency 2.0. If you think that China digitized with the first version, we're going to go even much further with the second version. And that's really the interesting part of the story. And it was this speed with which it was all adopted that literally shocked me. I had already lived here for 7-8 years, went away, came back, and it was like the entire place had absolutely changed. It was really dramatic.
We have one interesting question. I'm trying to listen to you because I don't want to miss a word, but also seeing the questions. And one great question has come in about what you think the impact of DCEP is going to be on the Belt and Road Initiative. And it is coming from David Birch.
First of all, David, I'm honored that you're here, and thank you for joining us. I love your work, and I am deeply touched that you would join us today. And the answer to that is, tell the Americans the Chinese are gunning for them, and the way they're gunning for them has got nothing to do with buying tanker loads full of oil, which we all know are dollar valuated. Dollar denominated, but when you look at SME business and trade with China, when you look at these Belt and Road countries, there's $1.38 trillion of trade and growing every year at about a 10 or 15% growth rate. It's astounding. All of that, and this is part of my book, significant portions of that trade is going to revalue into digital RMB. The Chinese government is going to make a trade system. It will not be just a matter of, well, you're using digital RMB to buy stuff. They are going to take blockchain-based trade systems that clear your container full of refrigerators through customs more quickly. They're going to provide trade finance. They are building an ecosystem of trade, of digital trade, based on central bank digital currency. And the first people who are really going to get to use it will be the BRI countries. That's the target. So the Chinese government is not per se going after the dollar by trying to attack existing dollar use cases. They know that's futile. They're not dopey. They get that. But there's an entire world of trade that has dollar denomination, but really for practical purposes doesn't need to be denominated in dollars. It's a third-party currency. Why not just do it in RMB? So with a digital system that takes care of immediate money transfer, ease of conversion, it's going to be a no-brainer. So that's the big use. It's going to be massive. It's not going to be overnight. Remember, this is China, 5,000 years of history. We're looking at a 10-year plan minimum. For many years, you're going to hear people say, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it won't matter until you're 7, 8, 9, when somebody says, how did that happen? And that's what we're really looking at.
And this goes back to the analogy that you spoke about, that, you went away for 2 years and then you came back and there was a total transformation, and this may take whatever it takes. And as you said, China is used to thinking in decades, if not centuries. So it's not an issue. We in the West think in very finite games instead of infinite games, right?
Absolutely. Look, there was a wonderful, my post yesterday probably had the best summation of my book that I didn't write. Okay. It was by Nikkei. It was an economist who was writing on Nikkei. His name escapes me now, but it was yesterday's LinkedIn post. But he describes how the trades, when you think about digital RMB, where analysts are getting it wrong is they're analyzing digital RMB as nothing more than a currency. And what I say in my book is that digital RMB is an entry token or a way to get into this new digital trade system. Use this and you're part of this new network. And that is really what this is about. It's not just about, well, we've got an RMB on this coin or this digital coin. It's about this entire ecosystem. And now here's the part that's funny. So I live in China. I follow this 5G rollout all through Shanghai, all the major cities. We've got 5G everywhere. I watch the people, the Western coverage. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Digital currency rollout. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. There's nothing to see there. Blockchain trade systems currently operating in Shenzhen throughout the Macau, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Greater Bay Area. 12% of China's GDP. Don't worry, nothing to worry about. And then finally, China signs a regional cooperation economic agreement, RCEP, RCEP, and I watch the West say, nothing to see there, don't worry about it. All of these things, all of these technologies like 5G, blockchain are all coming together, and they are going to be formidable. And yes, you should be worrying about them in concert, not just as one individually.
So there's an amazing unbundling going on in the big innovation lab of China, and then it's all going to come together to create these smart cities, smart trades, Internet of Things, and so on. And we'll suddenly see that transformation, whether it's in 5 or 10 years, it doesn't really matter.
Absolutely. Really, it's hard to express, but what you're really seeing is the digitization of society here. Now, look, I know this has unwanted side effects that we all hear about, surveillance and other stuff. I get that. I understand and feel your pain if that is a painful issue for you. But still, these things are coming, and it is a profound transformation for internal to China and how it does business. And those internal transformations will migrate outward into the business partners of China, people who do business with China. And it's already happening. Look, the blockchain trade finance platforms already existing are doing billions of dollars in trade, and the people who use them say flat out, we're saving a full percent, 1 full percent off of our financing costs. Is that good enough? Yeah, that's a lot of money if you're trading back and forth. So they're real.
And let's wrap it up here, dear Richard, and tell our audience about the book. Where can they find the book? In what form? Where can they follow you? Because, the book is there, but most importantly, hearing your continuous insights and interacting with the readers is even more important.
Sure. Look, thank you all for being here. The book is available currently on Amazon. It will eventually be available on Apple Books as well. Basically, if you're in the book business, if you're not on Amazon, you're not anywhere. So it's an Amazon release in digital, paperback, and hardcover globally. So go to Amazon, your local store, put in Cashless, you'll find it. It will be there. It'll eventually be on Apple Books and a couple of other platforms. I'm not solely on Amazon. I will put it elsewhere, but each of these other stores takes time to set up, so it takes a little bit. As you know, I'm on LinkedIn literally every day. I'm also on Twitter, but I am forever grateful to the LinkedIn crowd, who are almost all here. I can see the names. They're folks I talk with every day. I'm grateful to you all. This book really was born out of the conversations that I have on LinkedIn, and I will continue to maintain daily or near daily posts about China's central bank digital currency on LinkedIn. And I'm always available. Most of the people know me. We have daily conversations, and I look forward to more of them. And there will be more challenges, more changes to central bank digital currency coming out of China. And I guarantee that this year we can see you can see the press on central bank digital currency ramping up. It's shocking to me how much more press there is. And that isn't going to stop. This is going to be near hysteria. In 1 year, we'll come back here, Effie, and it will be near hysteria, I guarantee you. And some of that will be almost like blockchain. People will think that central bank digital currency will cure cancer and do impossible things. It can't. It's just money. But the point is, it's going to be a bigger and bigger topic all the time. So please.
Let's do two things, Richard. First of all, data today, we have 3 CBDCs, and which we have the Bahamas sand dollar,
yes.
right? We have the Caribbean Dcash, and we have China's DCEP, right?
Yes, and there's one in Cambodia that's debatable. They debate whether it's actually a CBDC. But look, here's the good thing. Let's leave with a real positive thing. What we learned from China was that digital currency helps with financial inclusion. It helps poor people. It really did. There is no debate. And even the PBOC, when they were back in December, when they were really coming down hard on Ant, even they admitted, they said, look, we are grateful for the good things that Ant did to help. So central bank digital currency, when you look at it in the sand dollar and when you look at it in Dcash, they're small CBDs, but they have the hearts of lions because they are bringing digital banking services to people on remote islands who don't have a bank. So they're doing great work. So I love to see these small CBDCs and can't say enough good things about them. And China's will be the first on a scale of 1.4 billion people using it. But these other CBDs have the hearts of lions, and they're great. And I'm proud that the Bahamas is #1 and first one to launch a retail CBDC.
So in a year, we will meet again and we will see where we are. We have 3, maybe 4 CBDCs, many pilots in the working by different providers working with central banks on different versions. We have a stable coin market of private stable coins that's over 60 billion, maybe 70 billion as we speak, but that's mostly on ramps for trading. So who knows where we will be in a year from now. Cashless China is the hashtag, Richard.
Effie, thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful. Thank you to all the people who joined in. I'll be on LinkedIn and Twitter if you have further questions, please ping me. I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm not going anywhere because this is launch day. It's a big day for me. The book is on sale in Amazon form for $2.99. It was my way of giving back to the LinkedIn community by dropping the price as low as I could. I can't do anything with the paperback and the hardcover prices. They're printed on the book, but I hope that is helpful to all of you, and I hope you enjoy the book. And if you do enjoy the book, please put a review up. I'd be very grateful. That's what all authors need if they want to sell books on Amazon. So thank you very much for having me.
Congratulations, Richard, and bon voyage to the book around the world.
Thank you so much for having me, Effie.
Thanks to everybody.